on the legal side of all this, the author of the soon-to-be bestseller. It's called Trial of the Century, Amazon.com, Hannity.com, Greg Jarrett, along with outnumbered co-host Emily Compagno is with us. Thank you both. Good to see you. Emily, let me start with you. All of a sudden, the whistleblower comes out, and now we're hearing about possible indictments, maybe as early as this week, of Hunter Biden. And on tax charges, in one case, the gun application, another case. Is that a coincidence?
I don't think it's a coincidence, and it just proves how fragile this political pressure has been for all this time. What has the DOJ been doing for all of these years that in less than 1 year, the Republican congressman uncovered? Not only did they uncover what Sarah just described there, but what's foreshadowed in the weeks to come, which might be 6 specific decisions on the part of the president that renders him vulnerable. The fact that 12 now family members were benefiting to the tune of millions of dollars from multiple countries. Everything we thought we knew has been amplified and exacerbated in the tune of 10 months. So why has the DOJ been sitting on this? Why was the IRS sitting this amid clamors of 87,000 new hires, amid clamors of gun possession, of gun fragility? And now here to come to find out it is all just the Biden family, while Hunter hides out at the White House away from child payments.
Yeah. And Greg, let me ask you, I mean, when we look at Merrick Garland here and the whistleblower, I think certainly that whistleblower deserves whistleblower protection.
Oh, yeah.
But now is there a possibility that Merrick Garland lied under oath to Congress? And what about Tony Blinken? Are there any charges possible in the case of Tony Blinken in terms of he had no knowledge whatsoever about the laptop, but he got 51 intelligence officials, former officials, to sign a document that Joe Biden used in a presidential debate to get away from the idea that Hunter Biden's laptop was real, when everybody in the FBI knew at that point it was real?
Well, remember, Democrats were accusing Trump of trying to unduly influence a federal election, which is arguably a crime. So the same standard could apply to Tony Blinken. As for Merrick Garland, there are only 2 possibilities. He either knowingly lied or he was utterly oblivious when 2 of his U.S. attorneys that report to him, who were appointed by Joe Biden, according to the whistleblower, blocked the planned criminal charges against Hunter Biden. Look, the more these investigators in the House Oversight Committee examine these 170 suspicious activity reports, the banking records, the more shocked and appalled that they are. If Hunter Biden is only charged with 2 misdemeanors and 2 felonies, that'll be the sweetheart deal of the century. I would take those 4 crimes and multiply them by a factor of 10 or 20. Every single transaction, every wire transfer that goes into a Biden family account, if it is influence peddling and money laundering, as it appears to be, those are separate crimes. So you're talking about potentially hundreds of crimes here. We'll have to wait and see how this works out. But I guarantee you, the more that the House investigators dig into this, and they've only been doing it for 4 months, the more they're going to find of influence peddling, tax evasion, tax fraud, money laundering, and violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act.
Now, Sarah, let me go back to you. We talked about suspicious activity reports and new shell companies that James Comer was able to discover. I go back to the question, with all this money coming in from China, Russia, Ukraine, and all these other countries, you know, what did Joe Biden know? When did he know it? Did he get any of this money? We know he lied when he said he never talked to his son about his foreign business dealings. And I want to know how much money, I want to get a final answer, did they do in business with China, Russia, Ukraine, and these other countries? Because I think the American people have a right to know whether or not Joe Biden profited from these countries and whether or not that is impacting his decision-making as president.
Absolutely, Sean. I think one of the most important areas that can be investigated right now is whether or not, and we already saw with Anthony Blinken, we already saw what happened with Michael Morell and the cover-ups that were emanating from the highest levels of our intelligence apparatus. But what we need to know now is actually what they're going to uncover in those suspicious activity reports, those SARS reports that were apparently being covered up by people within the Justice Department and actually people within the U.S. Treasury. So if those whistleblowers come forward with the information and they're able to bring those charges forward, then we're going to see the whole entire ramifications of what the Biden family was involved in. Not only in China, what we're looking at, and as far as those banking situations with China and his own personal business, but actually with Ukraine as well, and Burisma and the other involvement of his family members. And now we're looking at 12 separate family members. So this is going to be an expansive investigation. Like Greg said, it's going to contain a numerous, probably felonies and charges that they're going to be bringing against Hunter Biden.
Wow.
But it's also going to be interesting to see how the White House plays this out.
All right, we're going to watch closely, Sarah. I mean, a possible indictment this week. That is big news, and liberal news networks are reporting that. Emily, great to see you. Greg, great to see you. Sarah, thank you as always.